He is Megabyte Ronnie. He is sadly a retired professional wrestler. Also a professional eater, a U.S. Army vet. He's back from vacation. I hope he had a Coors Light or a Bud Light on his vacation and did whatever else he needed to do on his vacation. He's Megabyte Ronnie. Megabyte Ronnie, how you doing, man? I'm sorry I'm trying to get you beat up.
It's all good, man. I'm doing pretty good. I don't think I had a single beer on that vacation. I'm more of a girly drinker. So I had plenty of liquor. I don't know if I had any beer, though.
What are we talking here? Are we talking sangrias? Are we talking rum and coke? What are we doing?
I mean, I do a lot of mixed drinks, so I just go into the bar and look at the mixed drinks option and just pick something that looks fancy. Most of the time with vodka. On this ship, though, they had soju, and I had lived in Korea for 2 years, so I was drinking a lot of soju. They had this one shot. I forgot what it's called. Well, it's called a jellyfish. I don't know what was in it, but the liquor was blue, and then they would drop little drops of Baileys in there to make the Baileys look like jellyfish swimming in the sea. And we did a lot of those shots as well.
That sounds delicious.
I'm in. Let's
Very
go.
delicious. How is, I mean, I hate to start off with this. How is retirement kind of treating you so far?
Well, to be honest with you, it's okay. Like, it's a little bit hard, to be honest with you, because like you just think about like for me, like I just sort of thought about wrestling as like what I was gonna do, like what I was ultimately gonna wind up doing. And I don't know, I wasn't ready really to give it up, but then somebody, my doctor sort of took it away from me. So I don't know if it's easier or harder that way to handle when somebody just takes it away from you versus you having to make that decision yourself.
Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
So when did you find out, it was a back injury, and what did the doctor say? Was it accumulation of things, or was it just one bad bump? What was the overall diagnosis on this?
I think I found out like 2 days before I made the post on Twitter. I'm not good with remembering dates. So about 2 days before that, basically what has happened is that I have like I forgot. I have a 2 slip discs, and then I have 1 crushed disc. So what had happened is that the doctor thinks that crushed disc has probably been crushed for a long time, and I just didn't know about it. And what happened was in about, I want to say late January this year, I was in the gym and I was doing front squats, and I went down for a front squat and I heard something pop. And ever since that day, I've been having a lot of pain in my back, my hips, and things like that. And I knew I was pretty messed up. I didn't know I was this messed up, though. I mean, when the doctor showed me the x-rays and explained everything to me, like I'm in physical therapy right now, but like the way the doctor explained things is like I'm probably going to wind up needing surgery.
Oh, that's...
I was going to ask.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I was going to ask if surgery was on the table. Is it something that you're considering, or are you just trying to PT as much as you can to get better?
Yeah, so right now we got me in physical therapy. We're gonna come back to it in about 2 months from now. So we're gonna see what physical therapy can do for me. I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing physical therapy for about 3 weeks, and it has helped. But like, there's still a lot of times where my back just gets locked up, and I'm not able to move. Like I'll just be walking, and all of a sudden my back locks up, and I can't move. I wake up every morning in a lot of pain and stuff like that. I feel like it takes 2 hours for my hips to get going. So, but the thing they explained to me is that once you have back surgery, it's sort of like the most people who have back surgery are people who've already had a back surgery. So I'm trying to go the route of no back surgery, and that's one of the reasons that like I just called it quits, right there on the spot. Like I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't want to be in a wheelchair or whatever for the rest of my life.
You mentioned in your post about the eating as well, and you weren't sure where you stood with that. What's the update on that? Can you still do like competitive eating?
So the deal with eating, champion trying to make it into the cage. Yeah, the deal with eating, man, is I don't know if you've ever really watched me eat, but when I eat very violently. Like I shake, I look like I'm having a seizure up there. I'm not able to chew and swallow very well. It's kind of funny. I'm a competitive eater, but like even when I'm eating a normal meal, like sometimes I have to like drink water to get it down. So it requires a lot of force for me. And when I was gonna try and qualify for Nathan's this year. I was like, you know what, I can't wrestle. Let me just dive head first into eating. And I did one hot dog practice, and like I couldn't move the way I move when I eat. And that's when I said, all right, well, I'm not going to half-ass this as well, because I may not even qualify if I half-ass it. So I don't think I'm going to be competitive eating this year, but I'm hopefully not done with competitive eating. I hope I'm back next year, but definitely taking this year off from that.
With that in mind, I think there's a lot of misconception when it comes to competitive eating. Just give me an idea, or give our fans an idea of like what type of, I guess you can say, training goes into competitive eating, because it's not just shoving your face. There's something more to it.
Yeah, man, there's a lot more to it. So whenever we're training for a contest, like we'll practice the food we're going to eat. So like, for example, hot dogs was coming up. I'll do a 10-minute hot dog practice in my backyard, try to simulate it to be just as close to the contest as possible. Another thing we do is we stretch our stomachs out. We'll go to a buffet and eat as much as we can. Like, fruits and vegetables are a big thing. Water is a big thing. And I'm just not able to do that because I'm not able to be comfortable. As soon as I start stuffing my stomach, I'm not able to get comfortable. And that's all it's really about, is being able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I just couldn't get to that part with my back and hips hurting while I was so full.
I want to talk about your last weekend in wrestling. It was C4, BOP. What was that weekend like? And did you know, like, going into that weekend, like, oh, this is gonna be my last weekend?
You know what? I had a pretty good idea. I didn't know that was gonna be it, but so to tell you the story, that was in, I want to say February or March. Maybe that sounds right, March. I had went to the C4 show before that, and when I showed up the month prior to that, and when I showed up, I asked if there was anything I could do to help out, and they were like, will you work security? And I was like, fuck it, you know what, I'll work security. So I was out there working security, man, and it was probably a really good idea, because as I was working security, I had a lot of fans come up to me and like want to take pictures and shit like that. So the promoter is probably looking at that and saying, well, fuck, like our fans already know who this guy is. Like, so that probably helped my cause. But as I was out there working security, like my back was already hurt. It was so hurt that like during Kevin Blackwood versus Joey Janela, they did like a hardcore match, and they went out into the crowd. When they went out into the crowd, my back was hurting so bad. Everybody's attention was focused on them. I went back to the back and I started like taking a knee. Like there's a lot of times that I was just standing there working security. My back was, just hurting so bad that I just had to take a knee a bunch of times. But it got me a spot in the next show. And before that match, man, I probably popped like 5 or 6 ibuprofens just to get through that match. And I knew my back was pretty fucked up, but like I had wanted to get the C4 so bad. It was my first time at C4, man. Like I had seen all these cool pictures from my friends like Puff and Blackwood and Garcia, Myung Jae Lee. I'd seen these guys working C4, and when I went there and worked security, that crowd at C4, unbelievable. Like those are probably the best fans in indie wrestling. Like I wanted so badly to get in front of that crowd that I went out there with 2 slip discs and a crushed disc just to get a taste of that before I had to go. And then the very next day I went up, right after that, I drove 16 hours to Indiana to wrestle at Black Label Pro, because Black Label Pro has always been good to me and always sort of been a home for me. So that was kind of like the ultimate farewell for me. I got to wrestle in front of C4, something that I had always really wanted to do. And then I got to take a road trip with my buddy Kevin Blackwood, Myung Jae Lee and Haley Dillon. And we got to go up to, Indiana. And that was fun, just riding with those guys and having a good time. And then being at Black Label Pro and then seeing Matt Brannigan. I don't know. It was pretty much like the best last weekend you could ask for. I didn't really know it at the time. But pretty much the week after that, or the weeks after that, I was fairly sure that was it.
I'm smiling because I grew up in Ottawa. And Ottawa to me was never a wrestling town. So to find out that so many wrestlers are big fans of C4 and so many fans, wrestling fans, have become fans of C4 and the shows they put on, we're looking forward. We're going to have Mark from C4 on the show, hopefully in the coming weeks. But it warms my heart to hear you speak highly about my hometown. With that in mind, your last match at C4, you had a match that included Sexy Eddie. Sexy Eddie is known for certain appendage that he has. Your tag team partner, Matt Brannigan, when you guys are doing Hog and Dog, known for a certain appendage of his own. Do I dare ask about the appendages and a hog off? What are we doing?
I don't know who would win in a hog off. I'll tell you this. Sexy Eddie hit a moonsault on me, and it felt like somebody slapped me over the back with a log. So like I don't know what to tell you. Matt's actually, making money off performing with his, so maybe he wins the hog off if there is a hog off.
Have you considered the OnlyFans route yourself? I don't know if you've been asked that before.
Yeah, I've considered it, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could really do that. Like, my wife is in the military, so there's just sort of like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a route that I could personally go down, but I support anybody who goes down that route. I think make your money while you can. And I'm a big fan of anybody who goes that route. I just don't know if I personally am going to wind up going that route.
We have a question from a viewer, Ryan Sullivan, our pal Ryan Sullivan. Asks, any thoughts on like a potential manager role or anything like that when it comes to now that in ring could be over?
I've had a few people ask me about that, to be honest with you, and it's I don't know. It kind of hurts right now. Like I tried to watch an eating contest like right after I pulled out on Nathan's, and I couldn't make it through it. I haven't really been able to watch wrestling since I pulled out. Like it still hurts a lot to have this taken away. And an issue with being a manager, and my friends have said this to me, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own ass, is that if I go and be a manager, I'm going to wind up being bigger than 95% of the people who I'd be managing. And I don't know if that's really I don't know if that makes for a good look. I don't know how many managers out there have been bigger than their clients. I do still want to be in front. I still want to be a part of wrestling. I think there's a spot for me. I think I'm pretty good with a microphone. I wish I would have gotten a microphone more in my career. I don't know. Maybe I could do something like an interviewer or something like that. I look at what RJ City's doing with like a YouTube series or something like that. And that's something that interests me. I still want to be a part of the world, but I don't know if manager is going to be it.
Megabyte Ronnie reacts to 90s sitcom entrances. I don't know if that's going to work. You might have to find your own niche, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So in competitive eating, there's quite a bit of tropes that borrow from pro wrestling, right? Nathan's, they do the mustard belt that Joey Chestnut has and it gets passed around. What other pro wrestling tropes do you see that you think should be included in competitive eating?
Man, it's so, I don't know. The worlds are so similar. Like they're both carny. So like they sort of come from the same world. I did my first eating contest 5 years before I did my first wrestling training. And like when I came out with the eating contest, I had my own entrance music. I got my own announcer from an MC. I got my own introduction. I got on a stage and people were cheering for me. Like it just pretty much feels a lot like competitive eating, or sorry, a lot like wrestling. But the thing about it that I really like is I'm super competitive and eating is real, right? Nobody out there can stop me from being the 20th best eater in the world. Like I'm going to go to a contest, I'm going to finish highly, and I'm going to prove my worth. With wrestling, the thing that really bugged me a lot was that it's a work. So there's no way I feel like, if I should be on a show or if I should be, I should have a match with somebody or whatever, that may not be the case because I may not be friends with the guy who owns the company. So like, it's sort of, I don't know. I like both for different reasons, but they're very similar.
What was it like on the road with Matt Brannigan? We had him on the show not too long ago, and he was talking about some road stories with you. What kind of road stories you got with old Matt Brannigan?
Oh man, like I can't even explain like how good of a friend that guy has become to me. It was kind of funny because like when I showed up at AEW, he started getting tagged in a lot of my stuff. Like fans sort of willed us together. and it had went on for about a year. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, let me sit down and watch some Matt Brannigan. Let me see who this guy really is. And I sat down and I watched him wrestle, and I was like, holy cow, like this guy is really good. Like he is a phenomenal wrestler. He is so fucking good, right? Like it irks me that Matt Brannigan isn't signed to making millions of dollars. Like he is so fucking good at wrestling. And then like we were like, hey, you know, everybody, I messaged him. I was like, hey, people want to see us tag. Like, do you want to do it? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And we got booked for our first match at Black Label Pro. And like the day before the match, I was actually going to stay with Bradley Prescott IV. I was going to stay at his house. I wasn't even like, me and Matt had never even met the day before we tagged. And like we started texting that day before, just shooting ideas back and forth. And then, you know, it changed to voice messages because I had to drive. And I don't know, we were just popping each other nonstop with messages back and forth. Like the day we started talking, there was like an instant connection. And now we're best friends, man. Like we talk nonstop to this day. Like we're texting back and forth with each other. It's just so funny how like we didn't know anything about each other. And then it's like the scene from Step Brothers, like the first day we started texting, we're like, wait, did we just become best friends? And it's been on since then.
Some of your favorite memories in wrestling, whether it was somebody you worked with, a move you hit, like what stands out to you for your career?
I would say like the most important match I ever had was the place I trained, which is Grapplers Anonymous in Buffalo. They run a promotion called Daddy Yeah. The second show they had, they let me and Daniel Garcia headline that. That meant a lot because like you could have asked anybody who saw Daniel 3 years ago if he was going to get signed, and they would have said yes. You could have asked anybody, 3 years ago if Daniel was going to be a big star, and of course it was yes. Just to be given that, to be given that match against Daniel, that meant a lot to me. Me and Daniel went like 22 minutes. It's the longest match I ever had. Daniel didn't take it easy on me at all. Like he expected me to be there with him for everything, and I really appreciated that. It really pushed me. As far as like favorite move I ever hit, this is it's gonna be kind of out of left field, but it's the favorite move I ever hit was actually a lariat to Abby Jane. So I was working for a company in Philadelphia called PWE, and not a lot of places let me work heel, even though I feel like I'm a better wrestler as a heel, but just sort of who I am doesn't allow me to be a heel most places. But they allowed me to be a heel because I was feuding with Hot Dog Starks, and that was sort of his promotion. Like they loved Hot Dog Starks there. So I had worked a 3-on-3 match the month before PWE, and me and Abby Jane sort of locked up in this 3-on-3 match. And when we went to go lock up, I went to go do a test of strength with her, and I really felt the crowd sort of like want to know what was going to happen. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Abby Jane, but she's not that big. And when we went to go, do that test of strength, I felt something there. And the next month I was supposed to wrestle Cheeseburger at PWE, but something happened and he couldn't make it. And they were like, hey, is there anybody out there you want to work with? And I was like, you know what? As a matter of fact, like I just did this thing with Abby Jane. Like, let me work a match with her. And I think it'll be real good. So they let me work with Abby Jane. And this isn't like an art building. Like it's a real hipster crowd, a real progressive crowd, right? So we get in that ring, and the fans are having a good time. Like they've been drinking a little bit, and you see me and Abby Jane, and you think we're gonna have this nice little wrestling match. You think everything, you got to be thinking like there's no way like this big old man is gonna beat up this little girl. And as a matter of fact, when I got to the show, the promoter said, "Hey, I want you two to wrestle like you're the same size." And I was like, all right, that sounds good. And I went up to Abby Jane right after that. I said, hey, the promoter wants us to work like we're the same size. And she said, yeah. I said, we're not doing that. So like at the very start of this match, I grab her in a headlock and she pushes me off. And I said, hey, Abby, I'm going to fucking nail you with this lariat, because I know when I nail you with this lariat at the start of this match, that whole crowd is going to go from, yay, good time, to holy shit, And I came off that rope, man, and I just laid it into her in a good safe space, right? But I just laid it into her, and like I just felt the whole crowd, like just everybody just die right there with Abby Jane. And like I knew I had him from that moment. And every time she fought back in that match, that crowd was so with her. And I just knew if I nailed her with this lariat that early in the match, it would just change everything. And it was just moments like that when I knew I could do something to control a crowd, and then I did it and it happened. That feeling's like unmatched. There's nothing else like that in the world.
12 days after that match,
yeah,
you lost a loser has to eat 20 cheeseburgers match. How did we get here? What are we doing? Please talk to me about this match. This is wonderful. I love this so much.
There's a good story behind that as well. So like we were the main event, me and Chuck Stone, and we had called this match that was going to be a brawling match. Like we were going to go outside and beat the shit out of each other and everything like that. And I'm watching the first couple of matches on the show, and I think they had another match where like somebody went to the outside and beat the shit out of each other. And then there was a lot of good wrestling on this show, like just a ton of really, really good wrestling. And after intermission, I walked up to Chuck. I was like, hey, you know that match we called? He was like, yeah. I was like, we got to scrap all that. Like that's out the door. Like they've already seen brawling. They're getting all these fucking 15-minute like pure wrestling classic matches. After us, the main event was like a 25-minute Cole Raddick versus somebody else in a super good, wrestling match. And I was just like, you know what these people need is they need a palate cleanse. Like they need something to laugh at because they've seen all this wrestling and they just need a minute to like digest and get ready for this main event that they're about to call. And I think about the wrestling psychology a lot. Like I really dived deep into what I think needed to happen. Like my particular spot on a card, my particular match, I always thought about what I needed to do to make the overall show the best. And we went with this comedy match where both me and Chuck Stone were trying to lose because he likes cheeseburgers and I like to eat. So we were both purposely trying to lose throughout the whole match so we could eat the 20 cheeseburgers. It took a little time for the crowd to catch on. I wish we could have did something to like explain our characters a little bit more before we had that match. But I went up and told the promoter afterwards, I was like, hey, I changed that match right before we went out there because I thought based on what had happened throughout the rest of your card, this is what the fans needed. They needed something to laugh at, not be so in there and get ready for your main event. And he agreed. So that was a lot of fun, but that's a cool story too, because of how I had to just change everything right before the match.
That's a fantastic story and shows that like you get it of like, hey, we've kind of seen everything. Maybe I should just change this up, give them a little bit something different. And that's what wrestling is when it comes to, okay, we've seen our hardcore match, we've seen our mat classic and everything. Let's give them a little bit of comedy here in this spot. So look, man, you get it. You've always been very kind to myself and Jensen appearing on the spotlight when Jensen asked you, and I've always appreciated your work. And just when you made the announcement, I was really sad. As a fan of you and a fan of your work, I was sad and sad for you that like it ended like this. And whatever you do, I hope it's fulfilling, and I'll be supporting. And what are you kind of working on right now in your life and career?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate that. When I retired, I said something like, hey, I'm content with my wrestling career. I'll figure out what's next, and I'll really dive into that. And I thought like some light bulb was just going to go off in my head, and I was just going to figure out what was next, and I was just going to pivot right into that. And I've been struggling like mentally. I've been struggling trying to figure out like what is next, and all I can really do is sit here and look at wrestling and right now think what if. And I think ultimately like I'm gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna figure out something, but it hurts right now, and that's one of the reasons like I made a post yesterday about how like this hurts, and it hurts a lot more than what I thought it would, and it still continues to hurt a lot more than what I thought it would. And I just wanted to make a post because like this is going to happen to somebody else. Like somebody else's career is going to end. It probably happens almost every week or whatever. I just wanted to make something out there so everybody knows like it's okay. It's okay for this to hurt. Like it's supposed to hurt, and it probably is going to take everybody out there who this happens to longer to figure out what's next. Like I'm sure I don't know what's next. Like I don't know if I'm gonna go into some sort of content creation. I don't know if I'm gonna do food. Like I'm obsessed with fantasy football. Like I may do something with fantasy football, or like before I came to be a wrestler, like I had a 10-year IT career. Like I'm CompTIA Security Plus, CompTIA Network Plus certified. I can go back to a cubicle and I can make a good amount of money for my family, and I can never be Megabyte Ronnie again. Like all those options are still on the table, and I don't know where I'm going, to be honest with you. And I'm lost, and I'm a lot more lost than what I thought I was going to be.
Well, the good news is we haven't completely lost you from our TVs. You just did some spots with Dark Side of the Ring, and that's just started to air. Talk to us about how that came together and what people are seeing a little bit of Ronnie, because I'm assuming you're in the blurred out sections, the reenactments.
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. So I was on Dark Side of the Ring last night. I haven't seen the episode yet because I don't have cable, so I have to wait for it to come out on Hulu. I don't know how soon after the episode airs it comes out on Hulu. It's just a real quick spot where the person playing Sunny basically come up and like flirted with me, and then that was pretty much the spot. But I'm Magnum TA in the Magnum TA episode that comes out next week. And they kept telling me as they were filming, they said, hey, man, like normally when we shoot these shots, they're super blurred out, but you look so much like Magnum TA. We keep turning down the blur. Like every shot that they would shoot, they would turn down the blur. At least they said, I don't know what it's going to look like once it's produced and all that. And they told me that like I was one of the top 3 gets that they have ever gotten as far as like person who looked like the character they're portraying. And I don't know, like when I was filming Dark Side of the Ring, like I kept having ideas, and I would be like, hey, what if we did this, or what if we did that? And they were all really fucking cool. They were like, hey, this is a type of shoot where whoever has the best idea wins. Don't feel, because I was scared I was going to be stepping on someone's shoes. You know what I'm saying? But once they told me that, man, I was just shooting ideas out left and right. I had a lot of fun acting, and I felt like I did a pretty good job at it. So like, yeah, definitely check out episode 2 next week. Check out the whole season because they got a lot of cool episodes lined up for you. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that. I hope I could do more of that, whether it be Dark Side of the Ring or something else. I got another company talking to me about an eating show and stuff like that. So there's stuff out there for me in the eating world. Not the eating world, the acting world. I just got to figure out how to navigate that, I guess.
I mean, I shook my head when you mentioned the IT stuff and being in a cubicle, because I think you have too much personality to just be in a cubicle for all of this. Like, I need to see you on screen in some way or another. And you mentioned like you're not going to be able to do competitive eating and stuff this year. I think that sucks. So I have a proposal, a kind of sort of challenge. July 4th falls on I'm about to do something really dumb, Joel Pearl. July 4th falls on a Tuesday. We don't do a show on Tuesday. We do a show July 3rd. If you'd like to appear on this show, it won't be a competitive match because I'm not competitive and I'm not good at this. I will eat whatever you would like to eat against you. And we can go food for food on this, Ronnie. The July 3rd in the weeds eating rendezvous, if you want to call it. Whatever you like to eat, it can be very friendly little thing. We can kind of go at our own pace, and whoever wins. This is on you. If you would like to do this, we can do this.
I really appreciate the offer, and I would love to say yes. However, unfortunately, my contract with Major League Eating does not allow me to do that. So I am not allowed to eat in any eating contest capacity that isn't sponsored by Major League Eating. So
we won't bill it as a contest then. It's just going to be 2 friends hanging out on stream, just eating food. It's not a competition.
July 3rd?
Yeah.
I'll have to check.
If they want to sponsor it, by the way, they can sponsor it. We can turn it into a contest.
Hold on. You guys know what you're trying to set up here, right? We're doing hot ones, but we're not doing hot ones, but we're doing hot ones.
You know what? Let me look at the schedule. If I don't have anything going on that day, it's a Monday?
It's a Monday, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we could probably do something. We'll figure it out. Just hit me up in the DMs. We'll figure something out.
Okay. It doesn't have to be a technical competition. Just 2 friends hanging out, eating ribs or whatever you would like to eat. Just celebrating 4th of July.
We'll do it. We'll figure it out. Just as long as we don't call it an official contest. We got to keep. We got to stay away from that word.
We don't
Yes,
do official
okay.
anythings here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had nothing on this show's official.
Yeah,
Kidding me? Well, we want to have you, regardless, we want to have you back. And I would like to do some type of fun eating thing with you. Not a contest, some type of fun eating thing. Even if it's just a casual eating hangout is what we can call it. All right. Ronnie, thank you again for joining us. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me on everything at Megabyte Ronnie. So that's Megabyte with BYTE because of the IT background. So that's Twitter, Instagram. You can find me at Megabyte Ronnie. YouTube, you can go watch me eat a bunch of bullshit at Megabyte or youtube.com/Megabyte Ronnie. Yeah, that's pretty much, I don't know. Just Google Megabyte Ronnie if you want more Megabyte Ronnie. I think I own Megabyte Ronnie on everything. So, yeah.
So support Megabyte Ronnie. Please support him. Again, very heartbroken when I saw that announcement, and I appreciate how the kindness you've always given to myself and Jensen and being on the spotlight and just our chats over after that. And just like, I've always been entertained by your stuff, and I hope you stick with some type of content, whether it be professional wrestling or just YouTube, whatever it might be, moving forward, because I think you got too much personality to not do that. Don't go to a cubicle. Can't have it.
Cubicle pays well.
I mean, I believe that. Yeah, look, I totally believe that. I understand that if that's the aspect. I still think you too much personality to just be in a cubicle. But whatever you do, I support what you do, Ronnie. I appreciate it. And I will be in touch about our friendly eating hangout. That's what we're gonna call it. Not a competition.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Ronnie. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, man.